We talk about sports a lot on here on Just Reasoning, and I mean, today something happened that like literally almost moved me to tears, man. So here we are in the middle of the NBA playoffs, and so I get an alert on my phone a few hours ago saying, Milwaukee Bucks, they're not going to play. I was like, okay, so I didn't really think much about it. So I went and looked it up. I'm like, man, they are boycotting. So Milwaukee with Wisconsin, the same state where this Jacob Blake situation happened. They decided they are boycotting. They are not going to play. And then after that, I hear that the Rockets and OKC, they're not going to play. And then the Lakers and the Blazers, they're not going to play. And then the WNBA games that were scheduled, they're not going to play. Some baseball teams, they are not going to play.
The Milwaukee Brewers.
The Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So
they said no.
Like you would expect Milwaukee, but then like Seattle and they decided they're not going to play. And then I later saw how the Milwaukee Bucks, they got on a conference call with the Wisconsin Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor, stating why they're doing this and what they want to see as a result of this. And and something that we talked about on here before is the impact of sports in driving social change.
Yes.
And it was just, I don't know what will come out of this. I don't know where this will go. I don't know if they're going to start playing again tomorrow. I don't know. But for them to do this and put themselves out there like that, using their platform, they don't have a vote in the legislature in Wisconsin or what have you. But it's like, what we do have is our name,
influence,
our influence,
yes,
or money is tied up in all of this.
Of course.
So we're going to use that platform. And it was just a proud moment. Like I said, I don't know where it will go, but for those brothers to do that, salute, man. That's I heard somebody describe it as this will go down as the biggest single day of sports activism in history.
Well, I was happy to see it because I know when people money start getting funny, they react and make it a little bit better. I'm not saying it's going to fix the problem, but it'll take us a nice little step in a direction to get this thing resolved, right? When they see that there are celebrities, big sports name behind this change, which wasn't happening before, I think we can push it, at least nudge it in a direction where we can see some level of change. Because these guys don't want to lose money. And every time these players don't play, they're losing a lot of money. Right? So they're going to use their influence. The players might not have the maximum influence, but the owners, they have some clout where they can influence
That's it right there.
Certain change.
Hit the nail on the head right there.
And all these players know this. They know these guys are connected, all of them connected, right? They know they can push it in a direction where we need to stop having this stuff happening if we want to keep making money. So we have to say something, and we might have to do something too. So I think it's the better step in a direction where we want to go.
Yep.
So when I got an alert, just like Dub said, he got on his phone, and I was like, okay, Milwaukee's not going to play. But in that exact moment, I thought to myself, well, shit. Can I say that? Beep it out.
Yeah.
What about the other teams? That's exactly what I thought in that moment. Because if it was a situation where one team took a stand and the others didn't, it would have seemed like the NBA was divided. So when I heard that the Rockets weren't playing, I was like, okay. And then I did a little bit more research, and then I was like, okay, none of the NBA players are playing. None of the WNBA players are playing. The Brewers weren't playing, and a couple other teams weren't playing. I was like, you know what? This is awesome. This is something that we need. This is a step we need to take, because and I implore people, when you see somebody, one person take a stand, even if you don't agree with it, look at what they're doing. It is hard for one person to take a stand. Okay, collectively, it's a lot easier. When a team,
of course,
a league, takes a stand, that is awesome. But I just want to bring that to people. When you see one person taking a stand, even if you don't agree with it, put yourself in their shoes. It takes strength, courage to do that. But and this is a big statement. And like especially said, you hit them in the pocket. As individuals, like the Greek Freak, he might not be able to make a change, individually. But as a team, and that goes up to the owner, who has, I guarantee you, he has some senator or representative,
of course,
in his pocket, contributes millions of dollars in campaign funds. Those are the people that are going to make the difference. Okay, so once he goes, to his, Sunday brunch and has a conversation with who he needs to have a conversation with, then that's when the change happens. Because nobody wants to lose money, like especially said. Okay, nobody wants to lose money, especially them. And I just commend the NBA players, not as basketball players, but as men. Because first and foremost, they're men. And I don't know the percentage, I'm not going to even quote it, but the majority of them are Black men. And I think this is what is driving everything. And on top of that, I commend the teammates that are not Black for standing with their brothers.
Yeah.
These are the things we have to look at. Okay, we focus on a lot of negative, but we have to focus on the positive. Also, this is happening during a pandemic, okay? And it took this, okay, for everybody to focus on what is going on with Black men today in order to just basically, shed the light on the whole situation. It's been going on, but we all had to sit our behind down, focus on what was going on in front of us right now, because the main thing that people do right now is watch TV, the news and sports and things like that. And it takes this in order for some kind of reform to happen and just to bring, just a light on the situation. And again, I commend everybody that's taking a stand. Even me and Chris were talking about earlier, Kenny Smith, longtime Rocket. He's on TNT with Shaq and Charles Barkley, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. He basically was on the show today and he had to excuse himself. He said, you know what? He has to take a stand with the players. He cannot sit on that set while his, he's a former player and, his brothers in basketball are not playing. He basically said, look, I can't sit here and do this while they're protesting. I support them. So unfortunately, I have to leave. And they did it in a very classy way. And I commend them for that. Again, it's hard for one person. So when you see, a collective like this, it's definitely awesome. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, and when you when you think of players, who are making millions of dollars, right? Who many would consider privileged, right? If police pull over LeBron, they know it's LeBron and So why are you concerned? But for them to say, you know what, first of all, that's not guaranteed to be true.
No.
But it's hear them say it's bigger than basketball. And for them to just have the thinking to say, you know what, we can make a powerful stance here, not just for the sake of making a stand, but this can actually make a change. This can actually result in those cops getting arrested, because like y'all have said, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, I guarantee you he has connections with the governor and the lieutenant governor.
Of course.
And, he has to in that circle. And so if that man start losing a bunch of money because his players decided they're not going to play, and so now he has to get on the phone and talk to his to his contacts. And yeah, I can definitely see a path by which this can result in them, for one, the Wisconsin legislature right now, they're on break, right? So they're all, doing their own thing.
So after Labor Day,
this be a catalyst to getting them together, getting the Attorney General to, do whatever, or getting the police department to act. I mean, would it be so crazy for them? Right now, the cop who shot, Blake, I mean, he's on administrative leave. That's a paid vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would it be that hard for them to say, you know what? You are at least fired, right? You with no pay,
exactly.
You are fired. And then for the Attorney General, for them to do what they need to do and bring charges on
pending the investigation. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and so I think when we look back on this, we will see, if he does ultimately get arrested, that this was a major step towards that happening, because this was going to the protests were going to go on for a few more days. The Republican National Convention going on, and then there'll be some violence and some uprising, and then it would go away, and then people would move on to the next shooting, right? But by the players making that stand and say, you know what, we're not going to just sit up here and hoop and entertain these people. A lot of those cops in Milwaukee, they're sitting around cheering. They're probably Bucks fans too, watching this. So we just can't do it. It just doesn't feel right. And I think it's a major step.
It really is.
I'm really proud of what they've done. Where it will lead to, I don't know. So and so this brings up some, a post I saw earlier on which really, really pissed me off. And this is from from two black men who are saying that this was the point. It's not going to make a difference. They're just going to skip one game, and what it's not going to. If they skip the whole season, then that may do something. But skipping one game not going to do anything. And then just all this nonsense. And I'm like, and so I was like, if you just think back on, people don't really realize the sacrifices that were made for them to live the lives that they live.
No.
So
again.
So like the Montgomery bus boycott. Think of how inconvenient that must have been for people who take the bus to work every day.
To walk.
For you to walk to work every day. And this boycott wasn't, a couple weeks. The Montgomery bus boycott was 381 days.
Yeah.
So some people may say, because I heard somebody say that, oh, well, the NBA, they don't have anything to do with, why are they punishing the NBA by not playing? So I guess some people back in the 60s probably were saying, the Montgomery bus company, they're not setting dogs on us and all that, so why should they pay? But it's a matter of realizing your platform and what you can do with what your platform is. My platform isn't LeBron's platform. I can't do what he can do. I can do what I can do. And so like if everybody just realize that, let me focus on doing what I can do to make the situation better, then we can really bring about some positive change. Every senator, every police officer, every police chief, if people just saying, what can I do in my position to make the situation better? That's what these brothers did. They said, I hoop for a living, but you know what? People pay millions of dollars because I hoop for a living. So exactly. I'm going to use that. I'm going to dangle these millions of dollars in front of them, and we'll see what kind of change I can bring about. So, it's a proud moment. I hope, it leads, to these murderers being prosecuted. You know what I mean? Yeah. Any more comments from Dubai?
Well, a lot of people have difficulty understanding that change takes time. Nothing is going to happen tomorrow when you get up. All cops are going to be humane, or they're just going to treat everybody the same. That's never going to happen, right? It takes some time. Just as how our civil rights took time to develop. You're just voting took some time. Women voting took some time. Your ability to go to the store without being harassed took some time, right? You just have to accept that nothing is going to happen overnight. As you said, everybody have to do their little part to push it in the right direction. right? Some people, I mean, especially with this new generation, they want to see stuff happen so quickly. And you know, one of the things my grandfather always
microwave
say,
mentality.
Right, nothing meaningful happens overnight. Nothing, because the second it can happen overnight is the same way it can stop overnight. Right, you have to watch the gradual change in this, and it starts from people being very, very brave. I think the NBA players are brave because they have decided that I'm gonna put my ego aside, that I have to play and make a lot of money, and it's not gonna affect me. Lose some money just to make society a little better. That takes some bravery.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
And you also have to think about, I don't mean to cut you off, Switch, but you always got to think about the timing of it. This isn't a regular game, okay? These are the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is what leads up to the championship, okay? This is what dictates, okay, who's going to go from the east, west, okay? So it is a big deal, but go ahead.
And that is why I was happy to see it, because we know most of these players have big egos. And everybody wants to be champion. And if they can put that aside and say, hey, greater things are happening out there, right? We need to do something. Anything we can do, we need to do it. And right now, America is watching us. So now we have the platform. We have the mic. We can say something and let people who probably wouldn't pay attention to it hear us, right? We're serious about this. And that is why I commend them. I'm telling you, I was so happy. I was there posting on every video that I saw, you know, they were talking about it. I was like, this is great, because it's not it's not easy to set aside your $100,000 a week, right? Just to say something about our people being murdered on the street.
$100,000 a dribble.
But,
you know, so I saw, like, a friend of mine who played basketball at Texas, he made a post yesterday, you know, I'm saying, it's like, you know what, I if you really want to do something, I bet the Bucks won't boycott, you know, just, I mean, he was saying, I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but saying, if the Bucks boycott, and then he put ... never mind, that will never happen. And, you know, and I when I saw it, I was like, well, you know, that's not really, that, you know, I was thinking, that's really not the point. The Bucks, you're not going to really fault them for it. You know, but, you know, so I went back to that post as soon as I saw this. I was like, look what happened. And, you know, he was like, man, that's, you know, powerful. And, but, you know, when he said that, I never in a million years thought it was even possible. Remotely possible. I didn't think there was any way that would happen. And I wouldn't fault them for it. I just didn't connect the two. Like, these players obviously connected their power with this moment. I didn't, you know, but so big up to them, man. And, you know, so yeah, as we're talking about earlier, how, you know, police, you know, treat, you know, people differently, you know, black versus white, you know, how they allow these white boys to fight them, basically chase them, and they do nothing. So in the protest last night, I saw that video this morning. You saw this white boy, you know, a teenage white boy, running down the street of Kenosha, Wisconsin, with an AR-15. Apparently, he had just shot somebody, so that's why he was being chased. I didn't see when the initial shooting, but he's running down the street with this gun, and so people are trying to stop him, and you know, people are going at him, and they knock him down. And while he's on his back with his AR-15, he starts letting off shots, and he kills 2 people. Right?
Wow.
And he kills 2 people, and gets up and keeps running. And, you know, all of the bystanders are screaming, he just shot 2 people. He just shot 2 people. And police are coming the other direction. Then now listen, and he's still walking with the gun on him. And he put his hands up. And the police drive right by him. He's in the middle of the street with a gun, with people talking about he just shot people. police walk right by him and do.
He was the right color.
Exactly. You know, so and you know, now he was arrested today. This happened last night. But you know, his face is all over social media and the videos all over social media. This fool drove from Illinois. He's from Illinois. He drove from Illinois to go to Wisconsin with his gun for what reason? Other than, you know,
that exact reason.
Exactly
what he did.
He was a future school shooter, and who just, you know, he found this as an opportunity. But you know, he's alive and well today after shooting people in the middle of the street and people point them out to police, and police do nothing, absolutely nothing. So this is America, you know, where in Michigan you have some protesters who don't want to wear a damn mask storm the state capitol with AR-15s and they walk into the capitol with their guns to the point where the legislature canceled the session. Because, so imagine, if you will, a bunch of black people walking into the state capitol with guns, and for one, police do nothing, and then the legislature responds by canceling the session.
They wouldn't have made it past Highway 6.
Oh man! Anyway.
They wouldn't have made it through the door with a walkie-talkie, much less.
Yeah. So you know, this is where we live. This is America. You know what I mean? So, this was
well, this was a hell of a night. Yeah. I'm drained. Yeah.
So, I'm exhausted, man. I am. You know, like I said, this stuff just, it weighs on you, man.